Hey, super excited to be here with you today. If you are a coach, if you're a healer, if you are a mentor, if you're a transformational leader and you want to charge $3,000 to $25,000 for your services and market less and still attract clients who pay you on the spot, then check me out at DesireeStafford.com. Now, today I want to talk to you about something that I think is really important, especially for those of you who are struggling in the up-level process, right? There's so many of you, and I know that I was there as well, and we all go through different phases and stages in our business, right? Where we're trying to get to the next level, and it feels like you are, almost like a fish out of water, right? It's like you're experiencing things that feel scary to you, that feel frustrating to you. And what typically happens is when people are in that up-level process, they start to downward spiral. So I want to talk to you about this because one of the real reasons is that you're bumping up against your fear, right? You start looking for evidence. You set a goal. You say, I'm going to raise my fees. Thanks for the love. Hey, guys. You set a goal. You say, I'm going to raise my fees. And then you start doing everything to look for evidence of that shift in your reality, in your present reality, right? But the problem is it hasn't caught up to your physical reality yet. And that's where the doubt starts to set in. That's where the whole backsliding comes in from, because then you're afraid, what if it doesn't work? Fear and panic sets in. What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? All of these kind of things, really start to take you out of the game, right? And this is when you'll start to hear more and more and more prospects who tell you that they can't afford it or they need to think about it. And what does that do? It reinforces the doubt. It reinforces the fear. This is why you do not have the luxury of doubt. Now, I am not a religious person. I'm very spiritual, but I'm going to share with you a verse in the Bible. I'm probably going to paraphrase it and butcher it a little bit, but you're going to get the point because it really makes what we're talking about here today very evident. Okay, so the verse is, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. And then it goes on to say that he should ask in faith unwavering. This is where you need to get yourself, right? Obviously, when you decide to go for something bigger, you are stretching. You are confronting beliefs that have held you back for a long time, paradigms, thought processes, all kinds of shit. There are going to be people in your world who may not be growing at the same pace as you. That should not stop you, and you should not allow it to create doubt within you. Now, let's be real. We are all human, right? So there will be times when that doubt creeps in, when that doubt wants to take your attention away from the goal, from the intention that you're creating, the bigger life or whatever it is that you're creating for yourself. But you have to be diligent here, right? You have to be the one to remain in control of your thoughts and your feelings, because that is what gives you the power to create. But if you allow yourself to lose control of what you're thinking and what you're feeling, if you allow yourself to be dictated to by your present circumstances or what you can see in your reality, that's when you lose the game. Our physical senses are our weakest senses. There's so much more going on behind the scenes that we can't see. And I know that you've experienced that in your life and in your business before. Those are the times that you need to call on to calm yourself down so that you can get back into the state that's going to allow you to create whatever it is that you want, right? So you want to make sure that you either, number one, bust through whatever belief is coming up, whatever negativity you're seeing, or whatever lack that you're seeing is really what I'm trying to say in your present reality, right? Deal with that logically if you're a logical person, right? That's one way to address it. Just say, you know what? All right. So I decided that I wanted to create 30K cash this month, right? I haven't seen it yet. So what does that mean? Does that mean it's not going to happen? Or does that mean that it's in the process, it's coming to me, right? That's one way you can deal with that. Instead of allowing yourself to go kind of like lose your shit basically because you're not seeing it in your present reality yet. Talk yourself back down and make sure you get yourself into the consciousness of the woman who already is making that kind of money. Assume that it's already a done deal, because that will help you manage your thoughts and your feelings, right? But if you're going to allow yourself, anytime something shows up in the physical world that doesn't reflect back to you what it is that you desire to create, if you're going to allow that to get you off your center, you're never going to get to your goal. It's just not going to happen, right? You've got to be stronger than what you see, right? You have to be convinced, you have to be convicted of the goal. Otherwise, it's not going to materialize, right? So that means no matter what happens, no matter what is said, no matter, if your car breaks down, right? If somebody gets sick, none of that matters, right? I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. It's like it doesn't distract you from your goals. So you'll deal with those other things, but you'll deal with those other things from a place of certainty that while you're handling this, you're still moving toward your goal. That's the distinction, right? Because otherwise, if you keep flopping all over the place and you keep allowing yourself to sink down into this doubt, guess what you are going to create? More of what you don't want. Right? This is why it feels like people say it's so hard, such hard work to be an entrepreneur. And I personally don't think it's hard work at all, especially not in our work. Are there some other businesses that are more challenging? Hell yes. But for what we do as coaches, as mentors, as transformational leaders, this is not hard work to me, although it is relative, right? The most challenging part of what we do is the managing of our thoughts and our feelings. That's the real effort, if you will. It's not, running out here and worrying about all this external stuff and thinking that you have to post 24/7 and, doing all of these live streams and doing all of these webinars and networking and doing all the things that you don't want to do. That is not what's going to get you the result. That's not what's going to help you up level. That's not what's going to help you attract the $10,000 or $20,000 client, right? That's not what it is. It's what's going on with you internally. Now, do those things matter? To some extent they do. Obviously, you need to market. Obviously, you need to get your message out there, right? But if you're doing all of that external stuff and inside you're falling apart and you're not doing anything to control or to manage that, you don't have any power, right? You don't have any power. So you need to make sure that you are always managing your thoughts and your feelings. So again, first, you want to assume that the goal, that the outcome, whatever it is that you're trying to create is done. It's a done fucking deal, right? No matter what you see in your physical reality, you assume it is done. That's your power, number one, okay? The second thing is you need to manage your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions, no matter what is going on, right? Handle it, but don't let that be the reason that you can't get to your goal, right? Deal with it intellectually or logically if you need to. Rationalize why that means that you are even closer to your goal if that's what you need to do, right? Another thing that you can do is learn how to relax. Now this, if you're a high achiever or an overachiever like myself, this can feel like hard fucking work. It can feel so illogical. It can feel so ridiculous that you refuse to do it. You might even create some resistance around it. But I'm telling you, you need to learn how to relax, because if you are not relaxed, you won't have the presence of mind, right, to really hear or to get the insight to take the specific inspired action that is going to get you the result that you desire, right? When you allow your mind to go off in all this chaos, you don't have any control, right? You don't have any real foundation to hold on to, and you can't feel good about yourself. And if you're not feeling good about yourself, what are you going to do? You're going to freak out. You're going to panic. You're going to put out offers from a place of desperation. And what's going to happen? You're going to attract the wrong clients, right? So you may get some money in, but it's still not enough to get you to where you want to be, right? That's a vicious cycle that you need to stop. So when things don't appear to be going the way that you want, you have to get yourself into this place of, number one, assuming that it's happening, but also relax. Don't get caught up in it, right? Don't get caught up in, well, I don't see it immediately, right? Stop looking for the evidence. The evidence will only show itself when the belief is strong and firm enough. When you've planted the seeds, then they start to sprout. They don't sprout before, right? So you have to be willing to do this. And if you're someone like myself who can tend to be impatient, you're going to have to figure out a way to distract yourself, right? To go back into that state of being relaxed, go back into that state of assuming that it's already done, so that everything that you think, everything that you feel comes from the place, from the confidence of the fact that it's already a done deal. That is how you create your reality. Make sense? Okay. So who has any questions? Cheryl, amen to that. Amen to what, Cheryl? Tell me. You might not be religious, but you're yeah. I do get a little preachy. So listen, has this been helpful to you guys, right? Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. How could I forget to mention this, right? The last thing that you want to do if you're struggling with your faith, because this is one of the areas where so many of us struggle, and I'll be honest, it is not an easy thing to do by yourself, right? We need support. I have my own support, and my clients have me for support. So you should be reaching out to a coach, to a mentor, to someone who can really have your back, right? To help you stop spitting out, essentially, right? To help you stop focusing on what was and get your focus back on what it is that you're creating. That is going to be the most invaluable asset to you, is to have someone help you in those moments where you're not able to shift yourself using all the things that I shared with you, right? And if you don't have someone in your corner, you need someone in your corner, especially if you're trying to up level, right? So reach out to me, send me a private message if you want to schedule a breakthrough session, because I'd love to help you. Because listen, I know how powerful you are. I know how much potential there is for you. And I know that you know it too. Otherwise, you would not be trying to up level yourself, right? But you need to make sure that you have some support to help you when you're not able to stand firm by yourself. Right? Because if we were able to do it by ourselves, then we would all be doing it by ourselves. Your clients wouldn't need you, my clients wouldn't need me, right? So these are some of the things that I really want you to be aware of when you're in the process of up-leveling. And one more thing, I keep adding these one more things, right? One more thing, when you are experiencing challenges, when you are experiencing setbacks, when it feels like no matter what you do, you're not yet seeing the result manifest, don't take that as a sign that it's not coming. Affirm to yourself, convince yourself that it is and it will, right? That is one of the biggest things. If you don't take anything else away from this today, take that away. Affirm it to yourself and it will, it must, right? But if you start going back and you get wobbly over it and you're like, oh, well, I guess it's not going to happen, or you start getting pissed off, which is something I used to do. I would like set a goal for the week, for example, and then I'd be cool. Like all the way up until like Thursday, and then all of a sudden I'd lose my shit because I wasn't seeing it happen, right? And what happens when we do that? I would go right back down to creating the shit that I didn't want to create, right? But how did I know that Thursday night or Friday morning, the exact client that I wanted to sign was going to show up, or the exact amount of money that I wanted was going to show up in the mail, or, however it was going to come in, right? How did I know? I didn't know. But I made the assumption based on my past experiences that it wasn't going to happen. And so many people experience this in the process of up-leveling, and it keeps you stuck, right? So if you want to break through what you currently see in your present reality, you're going to have to do things different to what you're doing now, right? Your reality that you're experiencing now is based on your current level of consciousness. If you want to create a higher reality or a bigger experience for yourself, then you're going to have to be operating from a higher level of consciousness. I mean, what else would make sense to you, right? So a higher level of consciousness would mean that if you don't see the results that you want to see right away, you don't freak out. You don't spaz out. Right? And if you do, you figure out what you need to do to get yourself back into the right state of mind and the state of being. Okay? Part of that is to bust through logically. Say, listen, that's bullshit. I've already made this goal. This is happening no matter what. Right? So you bust through it logically, rationally, however you want to do it. You also get yourself into the feeling state of already achieving and being the woman who has achieved that goal. Right? So if your goal for this week is $10,000 cash, all right. You're a woman who has $10,000 cash in the bank. How do you respond from that place, right? How do you respond to prospects? How do you show up in your marketing? How are you showing up on your sales calls, right? From that place, no other place, right? No doubt. And if the doubt creeps in and you don't know what to do, number one, try to distract yourself, get yourself into the state of relaxation, and then get back into the consciousness of the woman who has already achieved the goal. If you need additional support because you can't do it by yourself, many of us cannot, then reach out to a coach or mentor. Feel free to private message me if you're looking for someone who is going to be able to be strong enough to stand with you through this process, because this is typically something that we cannot do alone. All right. So those are some of the tips that I want to share with you if you are in the process of up-leveling, but you're struggling, because I've seen too many people start this process. For example, they may raise their fees, get a couple of people telling them that they can't afford it. They need to think about it. What happens? They start lowering their fees because they're like, oh my God, I need to make money and I can't wait for the $10,000 client. I can't wait for the $20,000 client because I don't really think they're coming, right? When the reality is they could be showing up tomorrow, but you gave up too soon. And it's an easy thing to do because you've probably done that in other areas of your life and your business before, right? You've probably taken that step back. You've probably doubted yourself, right? But the reality is, if you have that desire, then you have the ability to serve at that level. So that means the clients must be here. But if you're not holding on to that because you're going back into this place of doubt and worry, what are you going to create? You're going to keep creating this experience that you do not like. If you want to up level, you want to get to the next level, you got to play the game at a much higher level. Cool? All right. So I hope you guys got some value. Hey, Emily. Hey, Anjana. There you go. Well, Anjana, I don't know that it's showing up with no fear. I think it's showing up regardless of the fear, right? Regardless of the fear, and not letting it take you out of the game. I think that's the real distinction there, right? Because we're human beings. This is why I say, you don't have the luxury of doubt, but if it creeps up, then these are some things that you can do to manage it so that you can get back into the right state, right? Because we have to, what's the word? We have to make allowance for the fact that we will slip up, right? There are times when no matter what we do, we allow our emotions to get the best of us. This is why my clients reach out to me all the time when they're going through their shit, when they're spinning out, when they're losing it, right? When they start to get wavery and feel like, wobbly about everything, right? That's why they reach out to me. So I'm like, snap them right out of it, right? I help them see what they can't see in that moment, because in that moment, they're so overwhelmed with their feelings, or they're so overwhelmed with the appearance of lack, right? But when I help them snap out of it, that's when they turn around and they have multiple 5-figure days, right? Or they have $10,000 cash months, because somebody has to help them really get their center again. That's essentially what I'm saying here, right? You want to get to your center again. And this translates to every area of your life, whether it be your relationships, anything, right? You have to be able to manage your thoughts and your emotions, because that is where you create from. That's where you create from. Cool? All right. So Emily says, I've had more sales calls in the last few weeks than I have had in months, and people still say no, but I'm not giving up this time. Absolutely. Do not give up, right? If they're saying no, check in with yourself, right? Are you not really feeling, if it's a pattern, let's deal with it this way. If this is a pattern for you and it's over and over again, it's the same objection, they're saying no, and I don't know why they're saying no, you need to check into that pattern, right? Because then that's something that you are communicating that's calling those people in, right? Now, if it was just a once in a while thing, because we all get people who will say no, or who can't afford it, or who need to think about it, right? But you don't internalize that. If it's not a pattern, right? You just assume that, that's just the wrong person, right? And you were able to help them however you were able to help them on the sales call. But if it's a pattern for you, if you're consistently getting people telling you the same thing, you need to figure out what that's about. Cool? All right. And I'm glad, by the way, that you're getting more sales calls. That is fantastic. Okay? All right. No, definitely no compromise on your fee, Emily. You're right. No compromising on your fee. You shouldn't have to. Right? When you know the value of what you do and the transformation that it provides for your people, there is no compromising on your fee, right? In fact, you should actually think what you're charging is a bargain compared to the lifetime benefit that the person gets from experiencing working with you, from the transformation they get, and then the intangible benefits of that, right? Okay, so yes. Awesome, Emily. Keep digging. You'll find it. All right. And make sure if you don't find it on your own that you have some support. Okay. All right. So does anyone else have any questions before I wrap up today? I went actually longer than I expected to go, but I'm really passionate about this topic because there's too many of you who should be doing way bigger things. You know that you're playing a game that's too small for you, but then you keep hitting this wall. You take the leap of faith, and then you bump up against your edges, and then you come back down. That has to stop. Right? You need to start taking the leap of faith, expecting to receive what it is that you desire. Don't go at this up-leveling thing from this place of I'm hoping or I'm wanting or I'm wishing. That's not going to work. You need to be convinced. You need to be convicted. Make sense? Okay. So if there are no further questions, I'm going to wrap this up. If you're watching the replay, thank you for joining. And by the way, thank you for joining live as well. If you do have any questions at some point later on, feel free to type them into the comment box and I will respond. And if you are looking for a coach or mentor to help you with your up-level process, if you want to charge $3,000 to $25,000 for your services and get it on the spot, by the way, and you want to market half the time that you're putting into marketing right now, then reach out to me. Go to DesireeStafford.com/session to get yourself signed up, or send me a private message. Either way works for me. Cool? All right. So thanks for being here. Yes, Emily, be convicted. And until we speak again, I hope you're up to big, bold things in your life and in your business. Take care.